In this lesson, we're going to create the console for our cockpit. Alright, so let's go ahead and create just a simple box for our console. So in our front view, I'm going to hit F3 to turn on wireframe. And I'm using the cube creation method for this box, so I'll just have to click and drag out. And we'll go to somewhere right around 8. So I'm just going to type those values in just to make that definite there. And let's go ahead and position this object. I'm going to hit F3 to go back to our shaded view. Hit P on the keyboard to go to your perspective view. And I'm going to go ahead and convert this to editable poly. Let's grab this polygon on the outside and let's just push that in. Okay, just something kind of along these lines here. That's okay if that's penetrating through. It's not that big of a deal. And we're going to go ahead and do the same thing right here. We're just going to push that forward some. Okay. And now what we want to do is we want to create the overall shape of our console. Now before I do that, I'm going to take this polygon right here in the middle and delete it. And then I'm going to apply a symmetry modifier to this. So that way I know that this console is going to match the other side of the ship here. Alright, so let's go ahead and apply the symmetry modifier. And we're going to go into the Z direction. We should be good. Okay. So with this, let's go to our editable poly and let's show end result, and let's go ahead and start to cut this up and to create the shape that we want. So I'm going to go to edge mode and I'm going to select all of these edges on this side here. Okay, so using that ring selection, so if you want to select one, hit ring, or you can hold shift and select the next edge in line, and then we're going to use connect. We're going to split that into two segments here. And actually, let's do one. And we're going to slide this toward the front. So somewhere around here, so like -44. And we'll hit OK. I'm going to go to polygon mode. Grab that polygon across the top and just raise that up. Get kind of a raised look to our console here. Alright, so now that I have that, let's go to ahead and create kind of a taper on this console. So I'm going to go to edge mode and I'm going to hit F on the keyboard to go to my front view, and I want to select this edge, hold shift and select that one. So it selects that ring. Let's use connect, and I'm going to drop this down to right around 28, so that way it's pretty much in line with this point in the console or in the cockpit. Now what we're going to do, seeing how we've created that segment, it's going to create a nice taper from that point to the top. So in edge mode, let's select these two edges, and we're going to pull that over in the Y. So it creates kind of this shape here. That looks pretty good. Alright, so now that we have that, what we need to do is we need to create a place for the legs to go. So we want to kind of cut this out right in here. And what I could do is I could come into polygon mode and I could select this edge and try to use inset, but I want you to notice something that happens whenever we do that. You'll see that it tries to split this into two polygons, but we've seen this extrude into one polygon. Why is it splitting into two? Well, it's because we don't actually have a full piece of geometry. This is only being resulted because of our symmetry modifier. So if we want to extrude this entire polygon in, we need to collapse that symmetry modifier. So let's go ahead and do that. We could right click and collapse all, hold yes, or we could right click on the object and convert to editable poly. Alright, so let's go to polygon mode, and those two polygons should be selected. And then we're going to inset this, okay, just like so. And I'm going to, we'll go ahead and we'll leave the amount at 1. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to get rid of all of these polygons on the inside for right now. And just kind of trying to think about what I'm doing just a moment. Just trying to think about this. Yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll delete those out. And I need to be able to get the sides back to this. So how do I do this? Well, I can go to edge mode and I can select these newly created edges right here, and I can hold shift and drag those straight back. Okay, and that will create that geometry I need on the inside. Now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to grab these two edges. Let's hit Alt Q to isolate this so it's easier to work with. I'm going to grab these two edges and I'm going to use bridge, but I'm going to use the bridge settings, because you'll notice if I change the color here really quickly, if you'll notice it's bridging this with a single polygon, and we have this edge that's coming through and not going all the way out to the end. It's not terminating properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a segment to this bridge, and that way that will meet up properly. Okay, so that topology is allowed to continue. Let's hit continue or OK on that, and we want to go to vertex mode, and we always want to check vertices like that. We want to make sure that they're welded, and as you can see here it says vertex 34 selected. So that is the vertices number. Okay, it's not necessarily how many vertices we have selected. If you have multiple vertices selected like this, it'll say 3 vertices selected. Okay. Alright, so now that we have that, let's grab these edges here right along the inside, and I'm just going to drag those down. Okay, let's go to our front view and hit F3, and let's try to get those as even as possible. And you can kind of eyeball these because it's going to be in an inconspicuous place, so it's not really going to be seen. Alright, now let's hit Alt Q to turn off isolation mode. And if you would like, you could go ahead and modify the shape of this by going to vertex mode, and you can select all these vertices right here and drop those down. Okay. So that way that's inside of the cockpit and it's meeting up properly. Okay. Now if it's cutting through, that's okay. It's not a big issue to worry about. Alright, so now that we have that, let's go ahead and smooth it out. So let's apply Turbo Smooth. Okay, let's take our iterations up, isoline display, and we'll show end result, go to edge mode, and we'll just kind of cut this up and start to get our volume back. So using the Swift Loop tool this time, I'm going to cut along these edges right across the top here, and then around these creases just to kind of get that to be a little bit harder. Okay, so we get this nice smooth looking console. That looks pretty good. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take it across these edges right here, just to make that nice and crisp. Alright, so there is our console started. Let's go ahead and indent the front of this, so just kind of extrude that in. So just these 2 polygons here, and I'm going to extrude that inward. Okay, let's go to like -1. And I'm going to add some more cuts to that just to kind of harden up that new detail. So right here on the inside, we'll do that there. And then along the outside here. Okay, just like so. Alright, so now that we have this console set up, let's go ahead and add one more element. And I kind of want to create this console that kind of has a display that's kind of a heads-up sort of display. So we're just going to create a single plane, and we're going to texture this later on, but I'm just going to go ahead and create the geometry that I need for this. So in my front view, I'm just going to click and drag a plane out to something like this. So we'll do 5 by 8. Okay, something like that. I'm going to rotate it, so hitting E on the keyboard to grab my rotation tool and rotate it 90 degrees. Make sure your angle snapping is on there. And I'm just going to angle this up a little bit. Okay, kind of like that. And then we're just going to drop this down in our view reference coordinate system. Okay, and we'll do something kind of along this line here. Okay. Now I kind of feel like the console is a little too far forward. Okay, I kind of feel like it's just straight up and down. It's not really giving us a nice, neat little angle. So I'm going to change its shape up just a little bit. So let's select it, go to Edit Poly Mode, and I'm just going to take the top vertices here, and I'm just going to push those straight back in the Y, kind of like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and leave that shape because it kind of comes back up. I do want that to be kind of flat there on that ridge. Alright, so this is going to give us a nice neat little console here that we can use. Alright, take that size down some. I'm going to go to 5x6 and we'll do 4x6 on that. There we go. Alright, very cool. Alright, so now you can come in, you can change those materials up if you need to, so switch that over to black. And then apply a gray material. Okay. And there we go. So now what we need to do in our next lesson is we need to create a way for the player, or I'm sorry, for the pilot to actually have control sticks or something like that. So we just want to keep that element in there. They need to be able to fly this plane somehow. Now this may not be an element or a detail that is absolutely needed by any means. You may not have an animation to where you see the actual cockpit, but I think that I can teach you a few modeling techniques by building out little joysticks like this. Okay, alright, so I'll see you in the next lesson. We'll start that up.